All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's session about Teach Britannica. This session will give you a good overview of some of the Teach Britannica resources that are available to you to partner really well with your Britannica resources that you have access to through BadgerLink. So my name is Chris Heintz. I am the Director of Customer Experience here at Britannica Education. My contact information is on the screen, so please feel free if you have any questions, need any training support, please feel free to reach out and I am more than happy to help you. So today's agenda, we're done our quick introductions here. I want to do a quick talk about Britannica School and then really connect that to Teach Britannica. So this is our second session. Last week we talked about lesson minis and graphic organizers in Teach Britannica. This week we're going to talk about two specific resources, which are instructional strategies and bell ringers and exit tickets. So I'll give you kind of a good overview of how you can connect content from Britannica School with Teach Britannica. And throughout this all, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I will do my best to address those as we move through our session today. So I do want to just pose a question here to folks in the audience. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you with Britannica School? And so I'll leave the chat open here. Feel free to comment in the chat. 1 is I've never heard of Britannica School. 5 is I'm a Britannica School expert, with the caveat that if you answer 5, I will promote you to panelist and ask you to lead the session for us today. All right, we've got a 3. 3 it is. All right, we've got a 4. Oh, still no takers on the 5. I was hoping I might be off the hook. All right, and a couple 2s. All right, so where we are, hopefully if you're on the lower end of the scale by the end of today, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable. You'll have more tools at your disposal to use with Britannica School. If you're towards the higher end, hopefully I show you something today that's a little new and something that will give you just something else to think about, some best practices to share with your colleagues and things that you can use with your students. So today's resources, you do have access to Britannica School, Britannica Escolar. So I will show you how those connect to Teach Britannica. Teach Britannica is accessed a little different than the other Britannica resources here. It is an open access educator hub that you can get to at teachbritannica.com. So I'll show you how to get there. I'm also going to show you a really nice connection with Britannica School that will take you to really targeted, aligned resources to your specific level of Britannica School as well. I will share this slide deck here, which does have some slides that speak to some of the different Teach Britannica resources here. But again, keep in mind, this just has a lot of great educator tools. It's really built to help bridge the gap between the trusted content that you can access through Britannica and classroom practice. So some great resources to really help energize your teaching, captivate students, but hopefully save you time as well, right? That allow you to have this hub where you can find resources and you don't have to go and search other sites or Google or see what other teachers are doing, and sometimes pay for those tools as well, right? These are all at your fingertips and really available to you to use however you see fit in your classroom. So I'm going to jump into Britannica School really quickly. And this is your access provided by BadgerLink. Britannica School, again, has 4 levels of really great vetted content that spans from the early elementary, your youngest emerging readers, all the way up to your high school students, but content that is built at an appropriate level for students within those grades. And what I'm going to do first is, I did mention in my spiel here, you can get to Teach Britannica by just going to teachbritannica.com. I'm going to go ahead and type that in the chat. So if you want to follow along, you can. And it will take you to a site that looks like this. Now, what you see is links to content that aligns to all Britannica resources, some of which you have access to through BadgerLink, some of which you do not. Teach Britannica is open access, so if you do want to find the content this way, you can go to teachbritannica.com. You can find content that aligns to different levels of Britannica school, as well as content that aligns to Britannica Escolar. But I am going to show you a shortcut. And so if I go back and pick any one of these levels here of Britannica school, I'll go ahead and click on the middle school level here. The shortcut is located in the top right of your page here. So if I click on this little blue thistle icon, you'll get a drop down that shows you all of the different Britannica resources that you have access to. And at the top of that, you have Teach Britannica. So when I click on Teach Britannica, this will take me to the Britannica School middle page of Teach Britannica, and it will show me all of the resources that are aligned to that specific level of Britannica School. So just a really easy way to find the content that's most appropriate for your needs in the classroom and things that can help you as you work with your students. So like I said last week, we talked about lesson minis, which are evidence-based lessons that are built to connect to Britannica content. We have a lot of great lessons in here focused on STEM, focused on civics and government, and we recently introduced some new lesson minis around media literacy and approaching AI in the classroom as well. So a lot of great stuff here that you can pull. They're fully kind of semi-scripted lessons that you can just implement in the classroom. Really great for use as subplans. The other one that we talked about last week were our graphic organizers. These have always been a very popular piece of what Britannica has offered and what we used to call our Britannica School Asset Library. I once did a session where I showed our graphic organizers at the beginning of a session with a group of librarians. And one of the librarians in the room, I don't think she heard anything I said for the rest of the session. She just pointed and clicked and downloaded every one of those graphic organizers to her device. But when she left, she said it was the best professional development she had ever been to. So there are a lot of great graphic organizers here, again, for use in your classroom and ways that you can incorporate those to really illustrate some of those complex ideas in a really simple graphical way. Where we're going to spend most of our time today are these middle two sections here. So the first one is our bell ringers and exit tickets. Now, my background is as a high school social studies teacher. I started teaching, 15 years ago, in a school of about 3,200 students, in a building that was built for about 2,500 students. So we were very crowded, and I bounced around from one classroom to the next every single year that I was teaching. And so there were times where I was getting into the classroom a minute or 2 minutes before students, or sometimes even at the same time. And so bell ringers were activities that really saved my life. I would have loved to have a bank of resources like this in my classroom because these are really short 5 to 10 minute activities that are built for those transitional periods in the classroom. And we indicate each one here is either best used as an exit ticket or a bell ringer or both. You can filter your content here. So if you want to review a content that you covered the day before or preview content you'll be talking about. You can find content here that really is appropriate for your needs. And one that I really like to show here is the Brain Burst graphic organizer. This is one that I've actually used as a part of conference sessions that I've done as a way to really engage the audience. And it works really well with your students. And so how this works is you have a quick handout with writing utensils of two different colors that you provide for your students. And you provide them with this really quick, really basic handout, and you give them a topic, right? So what I might do is when I deliver a session on media literacy, I might give the audience the topic media literacy and say, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. And within this little brain here, I want you to take your blue pen and I want you to write down anything that comes to your mind when you hear the term media literacy. And so you give folks 2 minutes, they write down everything that comes to their mind, and then you have them switch with their seat partner. And you say, okay, now that you've had a chance to go through what your own brain has processed here, I want you to take a look at your partner's paper. And I want you to take your red pen. And then I want you to fill in the gaps. So where are things that they mentioned something that you didn't, or something that they didn't mention that you did, right? And really kind of get them to engage with the content that way, right? As just kind of a really quick sharing activity and activating that kind of brain power for your students there. So really quick activities. Again, this can be used as a bell ringer. It can be used as an exit ticket, right? Something that you ask students to complete in just this really short activity here. We do also have some suggestions for implementation and then some differentiation as well. So how can you use this to support all learners? Because we know there is no one size fits all approach to the classroom. For exit tickets, same thing, right? You can use these as a check for understanding, self-assessment and reflection, and feedback. And again, you can filter all of the content here. So I would encourage you to take a look at these bell ringers and exit tickets, see where they fit within your classroom. Hopefully you find something that's really nice and easy to implement and use with your students. The next piece we're going to talk about is our instructional strategies. So these are a little bit more broad, and they're focused on skill building in the classroom. And so as we look through some of these activities here, right, you see things like close reading skills, determining cause and effect, analyzing political cartoons. And I look at this as a former history teacher, and I'm like, oh man, these are great activities that can apply to really any content that you're teaching in the classroom. So as I look through here, again, we can filter by different types of instructional strategies. So if we have an inquiry-based framework and we're really asking students to ask questions and inquire, we can filter to find instructional strategies that work with this. And then you can use this with any content that you have access to. So I'm going to show you really quickly here the analyzing political cartoons activity. And this will just show you kind of a quick description of what you're asking students to do. Here's a quick procedure, right? So again, semi-scripted gives you the opportunity to introduce these different aspects of the lesson. If there is any kind of graphic organizer or worksheet, that will be available within that procedure. So you can just go ahead, click on it, and it will open up as a separate PDF in a separate browser tab there, which you can then print or you can distribute digitally to your students as well. So then have them go through the activity. And then again, when we go back to the lesson, we do have some suggestions for differentiation. We have some specific multilingual learning support. So how can you support students who are learning English while they are learning in English? And then some variations as well, right? Again, knowing there's no one size fits all approach. How can I vary this up for different groups and just have some really nice suggestions there as well. So those are the two key resources for today. What I do also want to show you are just a couple things along here on the top toolbar. So the first thing is if I go to my resources and you do have access to Britannica Escolar. So if I go down to this final tab here with Planes de Clase, you have a whole wealth of Spanish language resources as well. So this really connects with the content in Britannica Escolar, allows you to utilize this both in world language classes or if you're working with students who are just learning English and their native language is Spanish, right? This can be a really nice way to connect their content or what they're learning with your content as well. The other piece here is hovering over this box in the top left, and these are our top picks. So I would encourage you to take a look at this periodically. We do like to update this to share some of our newer resources. So last month we did an Unlocking Literacy webinar recording through EdWeb, and this gives you a good idea of some strategies for cross-curricular learning and how you can build literacy skills in the classroom. So that'll take you directly to the page where you can register to see a recording of that webinar. The other thing here, we do have scavenger hunts. So these are built at the elementary and middle school level, but really just designed to allow students to interact with Britannica School. A lot of times, what I hear from folks is that you can lead students to Britannica School, but sometimes it's a struggle for them to find information in the resource. And so that helps them to do that. And then the last piece here that I like to highlight is our Free Resource Fridays. And so Teach Britannica is a resource that's been around for just over a year. We've been adding a ton of new resources to this site. And every week, our marketing team will highlight a different Teach Britannica resource and post that to our social media channels. So most of our social media channels, I know on Instagram, it's just at Britannica underscore edu. And you can find all of this content highlighted each Friday on Free Resource Friday. And the nice thing that our team has done here, there's some worked examples of different Teach Britannica resources. Again, all free for use in the classroom. But this then gives you a Pinterest board here of all the different collected Teach Britannica resources that have been highlighted on our social media pages as well. So that takes us really to the end of our content here. So let me go back to my slides real quick and just kind of open things up here for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. More than happy to stick around for the next couple minutes to answer any questions there. If you're watching the recording, thank you for joining today's session. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. And if you're in the live session, I will stick around to see if you have anything I can help you out with. But thank you very much, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.